OMG.
Hello.
It's so great to see you, Boo.
I'm kind of nervous.
Really?
Yeah, and I
That's
wore
fun.
my I wore my thread for you because you
Yeah,
usually go.
I love it. So fun. It's so great to see your face.
It's
How
good to
are
see you
things?
too. Things are good. They're good. I'm back in New York and back to work. All that good stuff. I'm excited
Is
to be here.
right? Well, okay, so let's
Yeah.
kind of start and let's tell some people about you. Just some basics. Okay, but the first, I'm actually like interested because I think we've chatted about this before, but I don't remember. Did you ever do your human design?
I did. I did. I screenshotted it because you told me to screenshot it, but I never sent it to you. I want to say I'm the one that most people are.
Generator
I'm,
or
I
a
don't know. I'll
manifesting
find
generator?
it. Do you want me to
Yes.
look on my phone right now while we're sitting here on the live? I don't want to distract, but I remember overview. I was the one that most people are.
Hmm.
I should respond. I respond to
Yeah,
things.
that sounds like a generator.
And then the funny thing was, it said my strongest sense or whatever test I did was taste, and I was like, well, that makes sense.
That does make sense. So
So
good.
yeah, but I'm basic.
I love it. And honestly, our world wouldn't run though without generators. We need generators.
It's
Important.
funny. I like don't really know. I like usually buy into all of that stuff, but I didn't. Maybe I typed in for my information wrong. It didn't really resonate fully with me, but
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
What is your zodiac sign?
I'm a Sagittarius, but I don't. I'm a Sagittarius with a Capricorn moon and a Cancer rising, which
Mhm.
is like they're all so different. And so I feel like I have multiple personalities and they kind of fit all of those.
Oh, I love it. So good. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about you, just like a little snippet, however much you feel comfortable sharing.
So my name is Ashton. My middle name is Colleen, which is actually what my friends and family call me from childhood. And then my last name is Keith. But I am a chef and a food stylist, and I'm in New York City.
Yes. And honestly, so as we were drawing up your stuff for like the social media stuff and they're calling you Ashton, I'm just like, I don't even like resonate with that. And as I was like saying it coming onto the live, I was like, no, I wonder if she's gonna care if I just call her Colleen on here. So that's great. Good to
I've
know.
created this like weird, maybe it's the product of being like a child of waspy parents, but like I think you're just destined to be named all these weird names and then they call you something else and it's like part of the joke that you're not in on when you're born. But it's weird. I was just away with friends for the last 2 weeks and half the group of friends calls me Colleen and half of them call me Ashton. And it was interesting because both would happen simultaneously. And I've always kind of had this like weird hard rule that if you're dating me, you call me Colleen. But that's not always true. But it's weird. I go by both, but professionally, I go by Ashton simply because when I started working and going to college and like real life stuff, you just like it's what's on my ID. So I just
Mhm.
started going by that
Well,
because it
and
just
it's
made
like
more sense.
right, and it's different. So like I think it's always good for like like SEO purposes even. So people are just like searching Ashton. It's going to be much easier to find an Ashton than the Colleen.
Yeah. And I love shocking people. Most like 9 times out of 10, somebody will be like, Mr. Keefe, or they'll call and be like, oh, I thought you were going to be a man. And I was like, nope. Mm-mm.
You're like,
But
nope.
we live in 2021, so I guess I could be anything. And I just kind of take it as like a fun little talking point when I introduce myself to people.
Which is kind of funny too because I shock people, but people think I'm old.
What?
For Dorothy, the name Dorothy, people think it's like a more mature person's name. And so I show up and I'm like bebopping around and they're like, is Dorothy?
I just kind of feel like the Wizard of Oz. Like, have you done all that research on like how the Wizard of Oz is actually this very like philosophical tale about the self? Have you ever done any digging into
No,
that?
I have
They talk
not.
about how the Wizard of Oz is like essentially like finding yourself because like you're looking for a heart or a scarecrow like doesn't have like so just do
Ooh,
like a quick Google search, but it's kind of interesting given your line of work because it makes sense. But that's what I think about when I think about Dorothy.
I love it. So good. That's kind of on brand.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. For sure.
Okay, so let's chit chat then. Tell us, I mean, I I normally start with the way that I meet you. Like
Mm-hmm.
so far, I've been talking about how I met the person, like my first interaction with you. I want to talk about that, but what I want to talk about more so is our like conversations after coaching together. They're so fun. Like you're my favorite person to like text message with because like shit's gonna happen. It's like so
Oh,
fun. It's so
I
fun.
have the weirdest love life and I've started to embrace it. But I think, okay, so quickly, I'll dive into how we met just very quickly because it's like
Mhm.
everybody else. We met because I had a breakup and I was having trouble getting over the breakup. And the breakup was probably at this point a year and a half ago. And it probably took me like 6 months into the breakup that I was in denial and he was clearly broken up with me to get help. And I think I like speak for many of a Dorothy fan in the sense that like I felt like I knew you way before we started working together because at the time I was living with my parents in Humbleville and I
Well, it's COVID too, right?
yeah, but I probably would have been with them, you know, given the situation.
Yeah.
But we can call it COVID for the sake of
Okay.
the show. But I had taken myself on a vacation for like a weekend, and I remember I was Googling like how so many people in the podcast say they were Googling breakup podcast, how to get over a breakup, all of those things. And I literally listened to every single one on repeat. And then I realized I like had to figure out a way to work with you. And when we met, I think that we had a conversation and you're like, the group coaching is really good. I was like, no, I'm really messed up. We got to do one.
You were so funny. Like
I was like, I don't think that's going to be enough attention.
I literally remember where I was sitting. I was at the dog park and I get this message from you and you're like, I know I'm in the group, but I don't want to be in the group. Like I want to and I wasn't talking about one-on-one, but I had some one-on-one clients at the time. And I was
Yeah.
like, I mean, yeah, we can do that. But I really like think the group is a great place for everyone. Like,
Not a group. I'm not a group person. I'm a solo worker. I'm a little bit of a lone wolf. I'm not a joiner. I don't do things like I just know thyself. Like the Slack overwhelms me. So like everybody on the Slack, I was like, stop talking. This is way too much.
oh,
So,
goodness.
but yeah, since then we've continued a relationship in just like hanging out and talking and sharing stuff and learning and all
So
that good
fun.
stuff.
So
But
tell us a little bit about, I guess, let's dive into that too. Tell me a
okay,
little bit about, someone's paying me on Venmo. Can you hear that?
no, but good for
Okay,
you.
good. It's my roommate, my bestie. Okay, so let's talk about your journey just a little bit before we dive into like what you're doing now and what since you've worked with me. Tell us about your journey. So when you came to me, you were still going through heartbreak. You went through the denial. You've been listening to the podcast. Tell us about like the biggest things that happened within the journey of like healing your heart, getting over your ex, building a life that's bigger and better than the one you had with him.
So I think that the first thing that I never really understood was that your thoughts control your feelings. I just never really, that's just like so basic. And it's something that, you know, you talk about as fundamental to this program, but also coaching in general, is that I had no control of my emotions at all. Like I was a child throwing temper tantrums in relationships simply because I didn't really know how to articulate my needs or my boundaries. And then really realizing that those come from myself and that nobody else gets to dictate those feelings except for me. And then further, that I get to choose those feelings with my thoughts. And so that's kind of the biggest thing that I learned through heartbreak. The other thing that I really learned through all of it was, I think that we talk about this. I remember I think the most fundamental session we had was actually on my birthday. And we talked about how, and we touched on it like Capricorn and Cancer. I don't know. I mean, if you subscribe to that line of thinking, is that who I am in like the professional world is very different than who I am at home. And so I think that it's always been really interesting that that's been like the crux of how a lot of relationships kind of implode on my end. And how this one in particular did too is that I present myself as this very alpha person, and I am at work, but the things that I want in a home life are very different than the things that I kind of project on the outside. And so even just the acknowledgement and understanding that was really fundamental in kind of just switching the way that I re-entered after the heartbreak back into like the dating world and into who I was just as a person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Well, I think we talked a lot about feminine and masculine energy and like what that looks like for you. And like my favorite thing, that the conclusion that you came to that I made as part of the post today was the whole idea around your softness being your strength, because for so long you felt it like it wasn't your strength. Can you talk more about that a little bit?
Of course. So I always thought, and I grew up in a family that was very much, and I'm grateful for it for in a lot of ways, you know, and I've learned that both feelings can coexist and all of that great stuff. But I grew up in a family where it was like, get up, keep moving, you're fine, like don't cry. I don't think I ever spent a day home from sick from school. Like it was always like, keep it moving. And so when I approached my life, like personally and professionally, I carried that same kind of motto, and it was almost frowned upon to be weak in any way or to show that softness, that it was not a good thing to have that. And I think that I kind of took that with me through relationships, and the assumption that if I was soft or needy or needed more attention or whatever that looked like, then that was a weakness. And so what I think I uncovered was that there's a way to allow that to be there, but that you can also be like strong in that softness. And I don't know if that answered your question, because I think I just went on a tangent and totally lost
I love
the question.
I love it. It totally does. It absolutely answers the question, because I just wanted you to talk about it. It wasn't even a question. I just wanted you to talk about your perception of that, because that was huge for me to help you see. And I think that it's helped you even after we've been working together in so many situations based off of the conversations we've had via text message.
I think the other thing that's interesting is that part of that softness is like allowing the feelings. I know that I resisted. I was probably, again, and God bless your patience, because I think that I was very reluctant to let go of the heartache and the pain and the story, simply because then I would have to feel the feeling. So that part of the program I had a really hard time with, because I just kept wanting to like shove it down with white wine and like work and, you know, all those things that everybody does just to kind of run through it rather than feel it. And I think that once I started to feel it, I could also, you know, heal it, but recognize that it was a strength in and of itself to have those feelings and those, you know, emotions come up, instead of it being a negative thing like I had kind of always assumed.
Yeah. And so many people want to rush through that. Like I feel like so many people.
Well, because it's painful. Why would you want to sit in it?
And that's also why you hire me, is to help you feel better. And so when I'm like, hold on, wait up, we're going to spend the first 4 weeks feeling really terrible.
Really terrible. And also it's nice to have a running buddy with it. Like you run alongside us while we do it, so that you're not alone through it.
Yep. I love it. So good. So fun. Okay. So tell us, I want to hear now all about what you've been up to, because it's been, when did we stop working together? The beginning of this year, or like the end of last year?
Oh, you know what we did? I also had to extend. So we did 3 months. I think we did an additional 3 months. No.
Yes. Well, I think we did we do 6 months in total? I think we did 6 months in total, because you came to me about a year ago, like in July.
It was like end of August. Yeah, I signed at the end of July, and then we started middle of August, and then we went till February. See, I told you I was screwed up. I really need to anchor in.
Doesn't mean you're screwed up.
I know. I'm self-deprecating. It's part of what keeps it light for me. You have to laugh through it, because otherwise, like, there's just no point. So if you're not laughing at yourself,
you can laugh at yourself. That's one of the. That was actually on my notes that I had. I was like, you were one of my favorite clients in that you could totally laugh at yourself. I'm kind of starting to notice that too. It's like a lot of the clients that I like end up remaining friends with for a long time are people who just laugh at themselves about the things. Mm-hmm.
Because it's so ridiculous. Like, it's so beautiful and crazy and ridiculous and fun and sad. And like, life is too short to stop. Like, if you're going to feel the feelings, like, you got to feel all of them and like put laughter in there, because otherwise there's really, in my point, you know, laughter is, you know, one of the best. But where am I? Did you just say, where am I now? I totally.
Tell us what's happened since February, I guess. Kind of tell us what you've been working on since February. I want you to share all the things that you feel comfortable sharing. How have you used the work that we had, maybe in your personal life or also in your professional life, or, you know, anything that you feel comfortable sharing?
Of course. So I think that in February, one of the things, you know, I had gotten successfully over my ex, and then I remember now that we stayed on to kind of coach through some other things that had to do with the larger issue that I realized that kind of happens again, which is self-worth for me, and that how that was kind of also mirroring itself in other areas of my life. And so that's what now that that triggered it. But I think in February we came up with, you know, the idea that this is something that I really found was interesting, that I'm a goal-oriented person. So I remember us having a conversation saying, like, I want a healthy relationship, or however that was phrased. And while I wanted one of those things, I recognized that I could be like, if I want that by the end of February, I knew that I could get it. Like, and I was like, I could get a boyfriend by the end of February if that's what I wanted. Yeah. And so I remember us being like, okay, well, like, let's think about that as a goal. And I remember I had an opportunity, and I dated somebody briefly this winter that it did turn into something that he wanted more, and then it just wasn't the right fit for me, is that, like, I realized that I can get that. But like, at the end of the day, I decide if that's okay for me, just because, like, that's the goal that I want. In the past, somebody would be like, I want to be your boyfriend. I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. Let's sign up and go for the ride. But I think I realized that, like, just because it's there doesn't mean I have to jump onto it in the sense that, like, you know, I have a boyfriend. It really had to be the right fit and the right person. And I think I really got very clear on what I needed as a person in terms of a partner, giving and receiving. And then I'm just super judicious moving forward in, does this person fit the bill? Nope. Does it help me build my Sunday? Nope. Or is it going to take away from the life that I've built? Nope. So I think the two, like, 2 or 3, that was the number one thing since we worked together, realizing that it wasn't just a means to an end. It had to be somebody that really fit for me, rather than something to check off and be like, I'm engaged or I'm married or whatever, because I'm a certain age that had to happen. Yep. And so that's something that was really powerful, because I think that for, you know, somebody who's in their, I don't even want to say mid 30s because I'm still 34, but closer to the mid 30s, actually that is mid 30s, with this expectation that you should be married and engaged and all of these things, I kind of let go of that. And so that's kind of the first thing. And then the second thing was, we talked about this, and I guess you can say, but like, we talked about the want match, which was really important and interesting. I dated somebody briefly this spring, not briefly, like 6-week, like, courtship. And one of the things that we discussed, and I remember just pinging you, that he is a wonderful man, but he wanted certain things in his life. He had built his Sunday, and I had built my Sunday. And it's like, wait a minute, he didn't like certain things on my Sunday. Like, not big things, but big enough things that it would change the way that my Sunday looked or his Sunday looked. And so I think that was something that we talked a lot about, that somebody can just not be a want match. And again, me a year ago or 2 years ago would have been like, well, everything's perfect. Like, I need to marry him. Like, why not? Why wouldn't I want to? And then you think about the fact that you've spent this time to create this Sunday, this life that you really enjoy, that you don't need to compromise because somebody is there, or because you're a certain age, or because you're supposed to. And that person can be a phenomenal person, and I can be a phenomenal person, and the relationship can be really great. But at the end of the day, if that person doesn't want to go to the beach, and that's who I am, then it's just not going to work. And it'll be like the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Oh, I get so giddy talking about this stuff.
It's interesting though. And it's kind of, it's, you know, it's something that's a harder adult thing to realize that, again, me a year ago wouldn't have had the comprehension to kind of understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But now it makes more sense that it just doesn't, it can be great, but not the right thing.
Yeah. And even going back to like some of the first things you were talking about, it was a whole level of learning to want what you actually wanted. Because I think a part of you held back from like as if something was wrong because you weren't like the masculine being the majority of the time in your romantic partnership. So you didn't want to be that masculine being that whole time. And the whole like softness aspect of wanting like a man to show up in a certain specific way and allowing yourself to like want that, even though in your professional realm, that's not how you show up, and then not making that a problem. So that was like step one in my eyes. And then step two was getting clear about the want match thing. And someone asked, what is a want match? And what we're really talking about is an episode that I did. I don't remember the number, but it's called You Don't Have to Compromise Your Epic Life or something like that. And what I talk about and what I teach is you want to go through and you want to build a life that is bigger and better than the life that you've ever had with your ex. And I call that your Sunday. And then whoever comes and joins you is just the cherry on top of that epic, beautiful Sunday. And if the cherry rolls off, not a big deal. Well, what happens is once you've built this amazing, beautiful Sunday and you start dating, the same thing that Colleen was talking about is you might have someone else who has a completely different Sunday. And the way that I have ventured into dating and have decided to live my life currently is I find people who want the same wants as me, who want the same kind of Sunday as me, who instead of trying to like compromise and fight for a relationship and make things work just so that we two human beings can be together, I want to find someone who genuinely wants the same things that I do in my life. For example, I mean, Colleen, you used the beach example, and that's like a perfect example for me. It's on my list where it's like they have to love the beach because I genuinely love going to vacation at the beach. I want to live by the beach. I want to be on the beach. I want to spend my days off on the beach. And so finding a partner who wants the beach naturally, not someone that I have to like drag with or convince to come to the beach, is really important for me in my romantic partnerships. So, yeah.
And also in any relationship, like friends, family, whatever that looks like, whatever your version of that is, you don't have to compromise that because you feel like you're at a certain age, there's a certain expectation, or like a big word that I've kind of eliminated from my vocabulary in all areas is should. Like anything that says should, you should, like you absolutely shouldn't do because that means you're doing it because you feel like a sense of guilt or shame or something that's like just a dirty pain, as you kind of call it, feeling. It's just not, it's not going to help you get where you want to get.
It's not useful.
No. So
I love it. So good.
Good stuff.
I also had another question. Are you still doing cooking classes?
I am. I did one last night for somebody on the West Coast. So it started at 7 and it went till 9:30 New York time. So I was like in my kitchen last night making like chicken and God knows what at like 9:30. And then I like cleaned the kitchen like Cinderella and it was like 10:15. I was like, oh my God, I don't even know what time it is. But I'm doing lots of cooking classes digitally and all sorts of products, content for products and brands, and a little bit of TV stuff again. So all good things.
Yes, I love it. I'm so happy for you and so proud of you.
Yes. Oh, thank you. I don't know about that. You helped a lot.
Well, it was so fun to help. I can't believe that this is my job. Like, it's so great. I'm so grateful.
You get to meet so many good people, and it's really been a pleasure. I mean, anybody who is struggling with any kind of like, even like any kind of romantic struggle or understanding what you want or feeling like you haven't gotten to the level that you want to get to, or you just feel stuck in any way, I do think that the reason behind it might be some sort of heartbreak that you might not even be aware of, and that all of these tools are really important and kind of invaluable when you're just trying to move forward in life.
Oh, so good. I love it. Thank you, Boo.
Oh,
is there anything else that you want to tell anyone?
No, I mean, we can giggle about the repeat offenders. I mean, we could go on.
I was wondering if you were
I've
One of my
started to call
favorite
them
terms.
something different. I've started to call them friendly ghosts.
Ooh, I like that. Friendly
Yeah,
ghost.
like a Casper. They just like, it's like a friendly ghost. Like they're just all over the West Village. You just
Yeah.
never know when you're gonna see one.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I need to come to New York and visit you.
You do, please. I mean, it's
Mm.
beautiful right now. You should definitely come.
The fall time's got to be amazing. I keep wanting to be like go up to New England during fall.
It's like 72 or 5 or something. Nothing like no humidity. It's beautiful. It's sunny, blue skies. It's great.
Is it getting back to normal?
It's different. I think the city is, and like anybody who's on here that's like a New Yorker will tell you there, I'll get haters either way, whether I say it's amazing or whether I say it's just everybody's got an opinion. But I think the city is fundamentally different. I think cities in general have fundamentally changed since COVID.
Well, they kind of have to, yeah.
They have to. I think across the board it did. So New York still has its same spirit, integrity, and grit and drive and all the things that people love about New York, but it is different than it used to be. And I hate to say that, but I still love the city. It just kind of opened my world to the fact that maybe this isn't the end all be all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Florida. I don't know.
Maybe it's Florida. I love Florida. Like, Miami is my jam.
So good. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Boo.
Thank you for having
me.
me.
Thanks for coming on and sharing your journey with people. I'm sure they'll all relate and get so much help from it. So I'm so grateful.
Thank you. And you're the best. So grateful.
Love you. I'll talk to you later.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.